What's up, Transformers enthusiasts? RBG here, back with another video, and there's been a lingering question on my mind for a good minute. Just how strong is Michael Bay's interpretation of Optimus Prime? Before we get into the video, I want to announce that I'll be doing a giveaway for a free copy of Transformers Ultimate 5 movie collection on 4K Blu-ray. To enter a chance to win, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. But if you're one of those fans who doesn't have a 4K player, fret not. I'll be giving away the standard Blu-ray collection as an alternative. So with that said, subscribe and hit that notification bell and be on the lookout for the winner announcement in January via my community post. But with that said, let's dive back into today's topic. Over the years, we've seen so many iterations of Optimus Prime, highlighting his caring, selfless, serious, highly intelligent, calculating, and wise nature. But it seems like his strength varies depending on the different lore he's featured in. And now that Bumblebee has been officially labeled a reboot, it makes it to where we now have two live-action versions of the character. So it's only right to see who's stronger out of both of them. Now, I'm not going to make this a comparison video right off the bat, because we still haven't seen everything the new reboot Optimus can do outside of a few flashback scenes on Cybertron. What I will say is that he shows a lot of promise considering the fact that we see him take on the hundreds of Decepticons all by himself. But he still has some catching up to do, because Bay Optimus has hundreds of Decepticon heads under his belt. When he made his live action debut, he was able to transform into a conventional Peterbilt 379 cab rather than the cab over design of his original Generation 1 body. His computer generated model consisted of 10,108 individual parts, over 1.8 million polygons, 27,744 rig nodes, and 2,336 texture maps. That's a lot of memory for a CGI robot. The volume of all the pieces combined came to 154 cubic meters. In Transformers Dark of the Moon, he gained a first generation style refrigerator trailer form before changing into a 2014 Western Star 5700 concept in Transformers Age of Extinction. Also straying from his G1 design was his vehicle mode, which is now decorated with flames painted onto a blue body a la Optimus Prime, his Generation 1 successor. The reason for the change was due to Michael Bay's ideology that mass displacement does not occur when they transform, requiring Optimus's vehicle form to have more mass to achieve the desired size in his robot form. I didn't really buy into the mass shifting debacle, especially after seeing a small pair of human glasses suddenly increase in size after Optimus picks them up, but whatever. He's officially been confirmed to be 9.75 meters tall, which is 32 feet. He weighs 4.3 metric tons, and his primary weapon is the Ion Blaster. This particular firearm is exclusive to only Optimus, and when all attempts at making peace fail, he puts this bad boy into action mode. I can't count how many times he's actually used it since he has multiple blasters throughout the series, but there have been a few instances like the one when he used it in Transformers 1 against Megatron, only to have the blast deflected by the Decepticon leader. It wouldn't be until 2 years later where we see how strong the blaster really is. During a lengthy chase sequence with Demolisher, he would fire off several shots to the giant's head at point blank range. He later executed the dying Constructicon with a shot through the optic. Several days later, he would shoot at Megatron and Starscream with his Ion Blaster and Barrage Cannon while rescuing Sam Witwicky. 3 years later, during his battle against Sentinel Prime in Chicago, he tried to defend himself from the Decepticons' fighter ships using his Ion Blaster, but he was mostly unsuccessful and apparently lost his blaster in the explosion. Just want to note that the design for the Ion Blaster was later changed as if it was no longer formed out of his fuel tank, since it's now stored in his trailer. We see him use a similar laser rifle in Transformers Age of Extinction, but it was never made clear if it was the Ion Blaster or not. From there on, we weren't even sure if Optimus Prime still possessed his signature rifle or not, since we see him wielding what looks to be a multi-barrel hand blaster by the time we see him in Transformers The Last Knight. But as you can see, he's quite the master marksman when it comes to firearms. When he's not using his powerful artillery, he's using his preternatural combat capabilities. In the Bay films, he's shown to be an exceptionally formidable hand-to-hand combatant. The guy really gets down for the crown. For 10 years, we've seen him showcase his physical prowess in the never-ending battle between the Autobots and Decepticons. He can be cold and ruthless towards his enemies, but also has a sense of compassion for enemies who turn from the right path. He's shown to be very mature, calm, level-headed, and patient. That's until you manage to piss him off.
Death before dishonor.
Oh, no.
What?
Death before dishonor.
This lesson could be your very last.
Something that's become very synonymous with Bay Optimus Prime is how brutal he can be in combat. One of the first instances in this observation is when he mercilessly kills Bone Crusher by ramming his sword through his neck and tears his head off in the first movie. It wasn't really made obvious that he was going to have this energon bloodlust, but it was somewhat creepy seeing him look around to see if anyone was looking after decapitating a Decepticon's head off. It's almost as if he knew his reputation as being a squeaky clean Autobot was on the line. But nonetheless, this was just a small glimpse of how powerful he was. And that's a heavy emphasis on the word small, because later in the film he was unable to match Megatron in combat, and as a last resort he urged Sam to push the Allspark to his chest, which would destroy them both. It was a little weird since the fans were used to seeing him go tick for tack with the Decepticon High Lord, so we weren't too confident in this version of Optimus. What I will say is that he gradually became that iconic leader we knew him to be in terms of his strength. Other attributes that were noticeable with this version of the character is how fast he actually was, because for a big bot he's very fast compared to that of an average Cybertronian. Some of the best examples would have to be when he was able to outrun Sector 7 helicopters. He even managed to hide under an overpass, which is very impressive for a giant red and blue robot. In another instance, he showcased how fast he can adapt during high-speed chases. As he rushed to Mission City, he quickly averted his attention to Bone Crusher and transformed while moving at dangerous speeds in his truck form. While driving at a high speed in a third movie, he was able to transform at a high speed in mid-air even with a trailer attached to him. He was also even able to outrun Sentinel Prime while Sentinel was in vehicle mode. So we can go ahead and check Cybertronian speed off the list. From the advanced combat capabilities to his mastery at shooting, Bay Optimus seems to be a well-rounded warrior. Besides his blaster, he's equipped with his various blades such as his Energon swords. As mentioned earlier, he used them to decapitate Bone Crusher. Besides those two deadly tools, he uses his two Energon hooks, similar to those used by paratroopers, which he uses to rip open Grindor's head. I always thought he transformed his Energon blades into the Energon hooks, looking at how the blade shapes were, but after analyzing the Forest fight scene in Transformers 2, he's seen throwing one of his blades at Grindor, implying that swords and hooks are separate pieces of weaponry. This is further corroborated in Dark of the Moon, where we see he has access to similar blades in his trailer armory. All of his kills are a testament of his master swordsmanship, and this has been shown when he utilizes his blades against some of the big bosses in the Transformers films, like when he killed Megatron with only one arm and a battle axe within 15 seconds, and when he was able to decapitate the Driller Bot with his dual Energon blades in the third movie. Something that makes these weapons so deadly is the fact that they're very hot and will instantly melt through Cybertronian metal. We're talking 1,000 degrees Celsius to slicing through Decepticons smooth like butter. After getting his Energon sword melted by Galvatron, Optimus Prime gets a stronger blade in the form of the Sword of Judgment, or Temenos sword. This becomes his primary sword, which he uses to tame the Dinobot leader Grimlock before joining the Giant King to kill endless waves of KSI drones, and he slices Lockdown in half. He continues to wield the sword even after he becomes Nemesis Prime. Now, despite being a powerful warrior able to take down all the Decepticons he faces in the films, he always needs some kind of help to defeat the main villain of each movie. Sam had to kill Megatron for him in the first movie, and he needed Jetfire's parts to defeat the Fallen in the second movie. He also needed Megatron's help to defeat Sentinel in the third one, ultimately finishing him off rather than defeating him, and in the fourth movie he wouldn't be able to finish off Lockdown if it hadn't been for Bumblebee, Cade, Tessa, and Shane. It seems like the biggest chink in his armor is worrying about the safety of humans, which his enemies always seem to exploit. Like in his fight with Lockdown, he had to worry about Cade being killed by Harold Attinger. He killed him with a blast from the blaster attached to his shield, but he left himself wide open, allowing Lockdown to attack and push him against a wall. And Lockdown retrieved his sword and pushed it through his chest, but thankfully Optimus was able to withstand the serious wound and overcome the bounty hunter. And that's because he possessed the matrix of leadership. This pretty much explains why he was able to survive Lockdown's blast through his chest during his first encounter. So he's basically an invincible, unstoppable weapon that the Autobots and humans should feel lucky to have on their side. They'd be done for if he ever defected to the bad side, which ultimately ended up happening to him shortly after leaving Earth. When he arrived on his dead home planet, he was easily subdued by Quintessa, who convinces him that he destroyed Cybertron and reveals that the Earth is actually Cybertron's ancient enemy, Unicron. This is where we see just how powerful Optimus Prime is when he has no regards other than serving his master. Very cold and meticulous when it comes to killing. He easily killed several Cybertronian knights while under the Nemesis Prime programming and came very close to killing B. I feel like if anything, this version of Optimus Prime's biggest weakness is that he's so damn emotional, which is a stark contrast from his stoic personality in his G1 incarnation we're so accustomed to.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost. Give me your faith. You die. I will kill you.
I understand that this is a real take on the character and he's undergone a lot of things that made him this angry, murderous robot, but these emotions always come back to bite him in the ass. He's supposed to be this stern Autobot leader who reacts accordingly when it comes to dealing with these issues. Instead, he runs headfirst into potential traps just because he's enraged by something, whether it be Decepticons threatening human lives or humans killing his fellow Autobots. If he really wanted to avoid Autobot casualties, why not build a base on a remote planet or moon? They've done it many times in the other iterations of the series. Obviously the Decepticons were thinking this since they had their own ship/base on one of Saturn's moons, and they even had other members hidden on Earth's moon. Optimus and the Autobots had plenty of resources to do this in the form of the Sanctum Sanctorum, not to mention it was revealed that he could have left Earth any time with his new jet powers. While Bay Optimus seems to be one of the more powerful characters, he kinda lacks common sense, and that's mostly attributed to how he's written in these films. He's simply an overpowered brute who easily succumbs to his emotions. I wouldn't be surprised if his rage made it easy for Quintessa to take control of his mind, because despite him deliberately fighting against the good guys, his personality is essentially the same as it was when he was fighting on their side. He still has the typical one-tracked "I'll kill you" mindset we've seen since Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. There are obvious discrepancies between this version of Optimus versus the new reboot version of Optimus. While this one seems to be the more furious incarnation during combat, reboot Optimus not only mirrors his traditional version from an outward appearance, he fights with the same level-headed style as well. I can't help but feel like the new version won't be as emotional as the Bay version was, but I still think Bay Optimus Prime will ultimately come out on top as the more powerful of the two. We'll just have to wait for more installments in the new timeline to draw this conclusion, because as I mentioned, there's only been one movie for the reboot Optimus Prime, while Bay Optimus has been running amok for 5 films. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you feel that Bay Optimus is stronger than Bumblebee Optimus? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future videos. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on social media outlets with all your friends and followers. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.